Hello, I'm Simon and welcome to the SciRoll channel. Today we're going to be talking injectors, specifically Volvo D5 injectors, but to be honest with you, even if you've got any common rail diesel, the general principle of installing an injector and what the important factors are remains the same. You've got to get that seal correct, otherwise with the pressures that injectors work at, you'll have all sorts of problems if you don't do it right. So I'm going to be talking about basically the official Volvo method using the Volvo mounting kit and also the installation tool as well. Now that's only for Euro 3 injectors though that you need the installation tool. Euro 4 onwards they changed the design for the better, and you can just fit a mounting kit relatively easily. But also I'll talk to you about how it's even possible to just buy yourself a bag of copper washers. They must be the right size copper washers though. Get all the dimensions right and you can get injectors installed very, very cheaply that way. So the choice is yours really. Obviously my recommendation is always the official one, but it's your car. How you want to do it is entirely up to you. So we'll go outside and I'll show you, talk you through a couple of bits and pieces and show you the sort of things that can happen if an injector isn't seated correctly. And yeah, hopefully you'll find it useful. See you in a minute. A couple of years ago I had a leaking injector, excessively leaking back, and needed to change it, and I fitted a new mounting kit to it. But the problem was that fitting the circlip onto the injector, which is basically this little bit here, it proved to be a bit of a nightmare really, and long story short, after a couple of months the injector tried to launch itself out of the engine. Basically the circlip came out, the injector pushed upwards, the circlip went downwards, and luckily it caught again there, so the injector was sent half out. And anyway, I reinstalled the circlip on this particular injector, and all's been well for, well, 2.5 years, something like that. Still dry down there, so it's been fine. But I've always been slightly concerned because I didn't use the correct tool to install the circlip. I've always been concerned that something might happen again, so I'm going to be refitting that injector, but I'm going to be using the correct Volvo tool, which is in this box here, and I'll show you that in a bit. And then because I'm going to be doing that, I've decided, because I've got a leak on 3 out of the 5 injectors. Number 4 was remounted a couple of years ago. That's been bone dry, but you can probably just make out a bit of shininess. Let's see if we can get a cloth in there just to soak some of it up. See that wetness on the end of the cloth there? And that's like a mix of diesel, tiny bit of oil mist. It's built up over, many years. And basically, when your injectors start doing that, it's a one-way journey to problems unless you take them out and reseat them. And if you leave it, this is what can happen. I'll show you on this D5 here. This is a V70 D5 that I've bought to do a few bits on it and sell it on. And all a bit grimy again, all standard stuff. This has done about 20,000 less than mine, so this is on about 175,000 miles, and all kind of dry. And then we get to number 4, and number 4 has probably the worst leaking injector I've ever seen, and I don't know whether it can make it out, but that there, the whole well, instead of it being the well being hollow like there, the whole well is filled with like a tar-like substance, and that's that mixture of fuel, so diesel, oil, carbon all mixed together, and that is going to be one hell of a job to get out. I've never failed yet on a leaking on a seized injector, but that's going to certainly challenge me. And so yeah, so that's what I want to avoid on my car, and that's why I'm going to be changing them. Now, in terms of your options for remounting injectors, you've got a couple of options. So option one, which is what I've got here, this is what I'm going to be doing on my car. This is the official Volvo injector mounting kit. I've got 5 of them in here for all 5 injectors. And this is the kit here with the part number. And this is for the Euro 3 engine. And inside the kit comprises of 5 elements. So you've got a new clamp, new copper washer and circlip, and then you've got an upper collar and a pair of bolts as well. And so, like I say, on the Euro 3 you've got this circlip. You don't have to worry about any of this on a Euro 4. The injector clamps on those don't require a special tool. So yeah, so it's using the tool to get that circlip on. So that's the official kit, about £20 each. So to do all 5, that's £100 just for a few bits and pieces. So option number 2 is to buy yourself a load of copper washers. Because if ever you take an injector out, what you absolutely must do every time, regardless, is replace the sealing washer, which fits at the bottom of the injector. So at the bottom of the injector would be a sealing washer, just like that. And so if you're not going to get into the realms of messing about with circlips and refitting all the clamps and everything, although you do have to bend that clamp back up, then you can, in a lot of cases, get away with just fitting the copper washer. I can't recommend that because that's not the official way, but there we go. And these particular washers for the Euro 3 injector, these were I got them from Amazon, 16mm diameter, 7.5 internal diameter for the small hole, and then 1.5mm thick. Now the official Volvo one is actually 15mm, but that makes no difference, just having like half a mil around the perimeter of the washer. The important thing though is the internal diameter and the thickness as well, because if you have them too thin, it's going to take too much clamping force, and you're not going to achieve the clamping force you want. If it's too thick, then the injector might not sit correctly in the cylinder head. So so whatever injector you fit in, you need to get the correct copper washer dimensions for your particular injector, and there's loads of different ones. Like I say, I got these from Amazon. I got 50, £13 for 50. So £13 for 50 in comparison to, £20 for one clamping kit. You can obviously save a lot of money. So my car's going to have the official way. The one that I've bought, that's going to have the all new copper washers fitted, and yeah, so I'll show you how this tool works and how it makes the job so much easier for fitting circlips. So I've taken out number 5 injector on mine. It was pretty seized already, not as bad as the one in my seized injector video, and as it came out it actually brought up all of that crap that you see around there, and there's quite a lot down in the injector hole as well, so I'll need to get all that cleaned out. And this is the injector that I've taken out, and this is the one that I'm going to be reseating with the tool. And I mean, the circlip got slightly damaged with removal, so I hadn't got it seated that badly initially, but it's going to be seated really well after I've used this tool. And you can see just from that circlip not being quite right, there's been enough carbon build up. You see the gap there? Seeing that gap? See how you got the carbon build up just there, and that was around the body of the injector. The tip of the injector is also quite badly smoked, and you can see right on the injector nozzles. Let's see if... So if we go right to the very tip of the injector, right at the very end, dead centre of the picture, see those tiny pinholes? Yeah, that's where the carbon's built up and the fuel is spraying out of that, so it's having to work its way through carbon, and that's going to affect the spray pattern, affect the burn, and you'll get an inefficient burn and then carbon build up, and the cycle continues. So here's the tool. It comprises of three parts. So there are the three parts there. Okay, so you get this part here, and that slots in just there, and you get the circlip, place that over the top, and you get this tool, but you turn it upside down. And then you push down. Which is much easier to do when you're not filming it. You heard that click there. It's because you want this to be touching here, no gap. Take that out of the way. And you can see the circlip is on there, and see how that spins freely, so that's not touching anything. Then you get your injector and you reassemble it. So this is the fresh clamp, then the fresh sealing washer, which goes on, and then basically then put the injector that way in, lock it in place with that. Remember, you got your circlip just there. This time you have the tool the correct way up, so these tabs can get underneath the circlip. Put it on, close it, and then holding the injector in place, you just lift up. Lift this up. See how the circlip's nearly in place there, so you just keep pushing the circlip, and that's it. That's the circlip correctly in place, correctly seated, not distorted at all. And then you can just remove the injector, and that's ready then for the copper washer to go on the end. We'll push that down, and that is an injector correctly seated with a fresh mounting kit. And if you've ever tried to fit that circlip without the tool, you'll understand just how easy this tool has made it. And that's it, ready to go back in the car. And thanks very much for watching.